Welcome to the podcast editing and support show. My name is Dave. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go. We're going to start the episode right now. Happy to have you here. Let's do this. All right, welcome back to the podcast. Glad to have you here. We're looking at how you find your clients and maybe find the right clients. Maybe for your podcast editing and support business, you're focused in the wrong area, talking to the wrong people who don't have the resources to hire you. And in the process of talking to people who can't afford your services, you get frustrated because nobody's signing up. Nobody's responding. You do these onboarding calls and people are like, oh, wow, that's expensive. I can't afford that. And you keep having this conversation on repeat over and over and over. And you're like, where are my people? How are people making money as an editor when all I'm getting are people kicking the tires and looking for what they can get for free and never paying or devaluing what you do and who you serve because they don't have the budget? So what do we do to break away from talking to the wrong people when we're trying to build our business? This isn't a hobby. This is a business we're trying to build here, and we need to talk to the right people. So I want to talk to you about talking to the right audience to support you in your business and help you grow something that'll actually be sustainable and become something worth your time and investment. How do we talk to the right people? Well, first, I want to talk to you because you're the right person to hear this episode. So have you had that conversation yet as a podcast editing and support person? Somebody's reached out to you. You got a call. You got a lead. Somebody took a bite of the bait, of the hook. They responded to something you put on social media, to your podcast, because you have a podcast, right? And you got some feedback. You got somebody reached out and said, hey, you're the perfect person for me. Let's sit and chat. So you get on a call, you get on the Zoom, whatever you're going to do, and you meet them for the first time. You're nervous. Your stomach is kind of upset a little bit. You're like, oh my gosh. Okay, stay cool, stay calm. All right, and they come on the screen, and in the conversation, everything's great. Oh my gosh. Ideal client, they talk about something you're super interested in. They're super successful, or they're brand new and they're full of excitement and for their new podcast. And then the conversation turns. We get down to talking about prices. And I want to ask you, especially if you're new to this, or for you that have been doing this for a long time, to go back in time to those first few conversations with new potential clients when the topic went from, I love your podcast, what a great idea, oh, this would be so much fun to work on, to, okay, how much do you charge? Do you remember how that felt? It's like you turned a corner onto a street you've never been on, and now you're going to have a conversation about money, and everybody hates conversations about money. Ask your partner if you could sit down and talk about money and see what happens. It's not the best conversation to have. And then when you're trying to build a business, there's all kinds of doubts that come up. There's all kinds of like, what if it's too low? What if it's too high? What if I just destroy this person with my number? Now, I'll tell you my example. Okay, so this is real life. All right, I had a guest on one of my podcasts, and about a year or so later, they sent me an email. They're like, had a great time with you on your show. I loved it. I'm really falling in love with podcasting. And I think for my coaching business, I think podcasting is the next step. Can we get together? I want to talk about hiring you to do all the, background work and get my podcast launched and be my editor. Can we sit down and talk? Now, if you've ever seen that email before, you're going to be like me and go, you did a happy dance. You celebrated a little prematurely and you got excited that, oh my gosh, it works. I'm finally going to get a client. So we get together, we set up a time, we meet, and we're on Zoom. And yeah, we're so excited. It's great to reconnect with a past guest and everything's fine. And then the topic of money comes up. So here, I'll give you an example. This is what this potential client wanted, and then we'll talk about the number. Okay. They wanted full audio production. They wanted full video production. They wanted over 10 shorts from every episode, full transcription. They wanted website support. They wanted help getting on other podcasts. And the list kept going on and on. Now, in my excitement to potentially working with somebody that I know through my podcast, great person, great guest, I was willing to sell the farm to work with this person. I was willing to do everything possible. And then in my mind, as this list of things are coming up, I'm thinking about how much time it's going to take, what I'm going to have to say no to make time to do this for this new client, and how much my time is worth. So all these numbers are bouncing around in my head. And I got to tell you, I wasn't totally prepared for the laundry list of things this potential client wanted. And so I had done my research, and I know what other people were charging for a small portion of this person's list, not the whole list, just pieces of the list, how much people were charging in my space. And when she spoke first, she's like, yeah, my budget is... Now the whole room leans forward, right? You're leaning forward right now. My budget is, $10 an episode. I'm not monetized, and I don't have any money coming in. And $10 is really a stretch. I'm a single mom, and all this stuff going on, and I really don't have a lot of money put into this, but about $10 is all I can afford per episode. And I want all these things in addition to an audio podcast. I want a video podcast. I want the whole thing, right? $10. When I added up the amount of time to do everything on this person's list for $10, it would have been cheaper for me to pay them, for me to be their editor, for me to give her money, than for me to even do any of this for $10 an episode. And when I came back to her with some real numbers of what people are charging, she completely pushed back on me and said, that is a ridiculous number. There's no way people are paying for that much money for that. We're done. And that was it. Conversation over. Haven't heard from her since. And yeah, that relationship is gone. Thankfully, I didn't say yes for $10 an episode with like 20 demands on each episode. There's no way I could even get another client in my calendar. And to make $10 a week, I don't know where you are in the world and where you are financially, but $10 a week is not going to put groceries in my refrigerator and in my cupboards. It's not going to pay for anything. So thankfully it didn't work out and I didn't overcommit, but I've realized in that moment after all this fell apart that I was talking to the wrong person. This person, as nice as they are, didn't value what my time is worth, didn't value what it costs to do all these things. And because everyone else was doing all the video and shorts and all this other stuff and clips and words on the screen and all that stuff, because she saw everyone else doing it, the idea of paying for it seemed to be that everyone else was getting it done for this price. She had talked to a friend who was paying next to nothing. So her perception was, that's what everybody's paying. And it's not. So what I'm encouraging for you is to stop talking to the wrong people when you're building your podcast editing and support business, and talk to the people who value you, value what you offer, and understand your pricing model so that it's a sustainable relationship. $10 a week for 25 different assets every week is ridiculous and quite offensive, actually, when you look at the numbers of what other people are charging. So let's share a few things here around your pricing model. There is your hourly rate. Some people like to do an hourly rate as a podcast editing and support person. This is great for projects that vary, and transparency ensures trust with clients around your hourly rates. You could have a set dollar amount per hour. And what's interesting is that's kind of how you would hire a plumber or electrician. I've done lots of that in the last little bit. And they say, well, here are the tasks. Here's how long it's going to take. And here's my rate. Now, that rate, that number seems really high when you're like, $60 an hour, $100 an hour. Oh my gosh, who makes that? But you have the wisdom and knowledge and experience of this person knows exactly what it takes to do this. They have insurance. They have all the accreditation. They have all of the ability to sign off on their work, and everything is great because they know what they're doing. So that's what you get when you hire somebody who's a pro. Hourly rates is one way. There's also a per episode rate. This is ideal for customers who have consistent workflow. It simplifies the budget for clients. Maybe you can offer, buy 10, get one free, whatever. There's some flexibility around a per episode rate. And then there's also a package deal, which encourages recurring business and provides for a more predictable income. As editors and support people, not knowing where your next dollar is coming from is no way to live. Having something predictable with time frames and agreements and kind of this mutual conversation about how long we're going to work together. Here's the dollar amount. Here's the workload. It's predictable. And then you can start making plans. You have car payments, and those are planned. You have a rent or mortgage. Those are planned. You eat pretty much on a regular basis. They're planned. So anytime you can have a per package deal where you have that recurring predictable income, I think it's going to benefit you much better. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the industry pricing standards. Now, depending on where you live, these numbers vary greatly. So this is general, high view to the podcaster who thinks $10 is a lot of money to get 25 different things for every episode. Here, let's just kind of set the stage here on how wrong that is to think that way. What are some industry pricing standards? Well, here are some. Keep in mind, these numbers vary broadly across the country, where you live in the province or state, or globally. These are just basic numbers so you understand from a North American perspective, I would say, kind of what people are charging. Freelance editors can charge anywhere from $50 to $200 per hour. That's that hourly rate thing. $50 to $200 per hour. The $200 range is for the most experienced professionals, and they do this all the time. $50 to $200 per hour. Now, some are going to say per hour based on recording length. So if you have a 1 hour podcast, it's $200 every week. If you're doing a weekly show, 30-minute podcast, that's $100 every week, ongoing, 52 weeks a year, $5,200 a year for a 30-minute podcast, 52 episodes a year. Okay, so those are actual numbers from people who are in this space. So to come in at $10 per episode and ask for 25 different assets, there's no way. And if you're charging that, you're charging too little. You're devaluing your time. So don't do that. There's the per episode range, which we talked about as another option. And this could be anywhere from $80 to $349, depending on the level of service that's provided to the podcaster. This is per episode. $80 to $349. Now, this isn't hourly, right? So if it takes you 4 hours, you're getting paid $80. If it takes you an hour, you're getting paid $80. Takes you 24 hours, you get paid $80. It's the same per episode every time. So do you prefer a per hour model? Do you prefer a per episode model? That's something for you to consider. The average range, $80 to $349 per episode. Nothing in there about the length of the episode, just per episode. A little more play there, okay? Consider that. If it's a 5-minute episode, $349 for a 5-minute episode, that seems a little excessive. So keep that in mind. The advanced editing or production companies are going to charge over $750 per episode for a comprehensive suite of services. You're getting into the video and mixing and mastering and artwork and animations and a team, not just one person, but a team helping you. It's a long way from $10 an episode. $750 is a long way from 10. So to have somebody openly scoff at a number that's more than 10 tells me that that person is the wrong person for you and the wrong person for your services. They need to understand that what you offer in this world is more than just an and an ah. You offer your support, your knowledge, your experience. Had I looked at my electrician and plumber and they come to me to do work and price a job for me to work on my house, and I tell them before they can give me their number, I'm going to give you $5 an hour. Okay, wait a minute. That's not, I have a truck. I have a business. I have all of this equipment and tools and supplies. This is my livelihood. This is what I do for a living. This isn't my hobby. I'm not a plumber as a hobby. I am a plumber. This is my task. This is what I've gone to school for, what I learned. It's my trade. $5, $10 an hour? Are you joking? I want you to stop having conversations that lead to nothing, because it's eating away at your calendar. It's eating away at your time. You need to talk to somebody who's got the finances to do what you do, to support you and to value you as a podcast editing and support person. As podcasting continues to grow as a professional medium and people are seeing value in podcasting, creators with means to invest in quality are seeking skilled editors like you who can elevate their content and make them stand out. People who are on the cutting edge, not just people who follow trends, people who create the trends. By understanding pricing strategies and aligning your services with premium expectations, you can attract high-value clients while building a sustainable business. That's my challenge for you, is to stop talking to the people who don't value what you do. You're wasting your time. You are. You need to focus on people who have the budget, who are out there doing the thing and looking for you. Because if you price yourself too low, you're going to attract people who don't care about what you do, and they'll treat you like garbage. You need to focus on people who are going to value you, see you as a team member, see you as an employee of their group, of their business, of their coaching program, as the real estate agent, part of their community. You want to work with people who value what you do. You have a lot of skills and talents that are highly in demand right now. And as more and more people fall in love with podcasting, your services are going to become more and more important. And in a world of AI, where everybody starts to look like everybody else, and every single video is the exact same words in the middle of the screen that move, and they're green, and they're white, and everything looks the same. People are going to go, why does everything I do look and sound like everybody else? Because everyone's using the same tools. So everybody gets mashed together in this big glob of sameness. Here you come, out from the darkness, out from all of these AI tools that make everyone's content just look the same, and you become this shining example of something new, different, because it's you. Do you use the tools? Maybe, but do you use them in a better way? What makes you different makes you special, and what makes you special makes you in demand, and what makes you in demand is people being able to find you. So what are you doing to get in front of more people, sharing what you do through your website, through a podcast about your services? Have you thought about that? Through your podcast, through what you do and who you serve, through word of mouth, you're going to find the right people who value who you are and how you serve and who you serve. Go find those people and stop having empty conversations with people who do not value what you do. Do not lower your price and lower your value to serve your next potential client. You're going to regret it over the period of time because you're doing work that is more valuable than the money coming in. You'll get frustrated. They're not going to stop demanding more, and it's just going to make things more and more frustrating in the future. Value yourself, value your work, and put yourself in front of the right people. And don't take time with people who just think that you're just another commodity, and they're going to try to nickel and dime you to the lowest number possible. It's time to value what you do and stand strong. You might say no to somebody. I said no to them, to that client, potential client, because $10 a week for 25 different assets per episode was ridiculous. So please stand up for yourself and value who you are. Because if you don't value yourself, nobody else is going to. So start now. Thanks for listening to the Podcast Editing and Support Show. Visit us at podcasteditingandsupport.com, podcasteditingandsupport.com. We would love to help you find a great podcast editor, or if you want to hire us, we would love to work with you. Podcasteditingandsupport.com. Catch you on the next episode. Take care.